For years, Will Smith and his family represented one of the most admired images in Hollywood. They were successful, influential, wealthy, and publicly united in a way that separated them from many other celebrity households. Alongside Jada Pinkett Smith and their children, Jaden Smith and Willow Smith, the Smith family became symbolic of a modern celebrity culture built around openness, individuality, emotional intelligence, and influence. What made the family stand out was not only fame or financial success. Hollywood has always produced wealthy and recognizable families. The Smiths felt different because they appeared emotionally connected and unusually transparent compared to most celebrities. While many public figures protected their private lives carefully, the Smith family openly discussed parenting, spirituality, emotional healing, relationships, creativity, and unconventional thinking. For a long time, audiences interpreted that openness as authenticity rather than performance. At the center of that image was Will Smith himself. Before becoming one of the biggest actors in the world, he first gained recognition through music as one half of the rap duo DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. His transition into television through The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air turned him into a mainstream star, but it was his later success in blockbuster films such as Men in Black, Independence Day, Ali, and The Pursuit of Happiness that transformed him into a global entertainment figure. Will's public identity became one of the cleanest and most commercially successful brands in Hollywood. His image was built around positivity, discipline, humor, ambition, and relatability. Unlike many major stars whose careers became tied to scandal or controversy, Will spent decades appearing controlled, professional, and emotionally approachable. That image extended naturally into how audiences viewed his family. At the same time, Jada Pinkett Smith developed her own reputation as an intelligent and emotionally outspoken figure within entertainment. Through films such as Set It Off and later projects including Red Table Talk, she cultivated an image built around honesty, vulnerability, and emotional self-examination. Together, Will and Jada became viewed not only as celebrities, but as people attempting to redefine how fame, marriage, and family life could operate publicly. For years, that approach strengthened their image. Audiences admired the family for appearing emotionally evolved and intellectually different from traditional Hollywood households. Jaden and Willow also became symbols of individuality because of their artistic expression, philosophical interviews, unconventional fashion choices, and refusal to follow expected celebrity behavior. Supporters viewed the children as creative and fearless. Critics saw them as overly disconnected from reality. Even then, however, the family still maintained a strong cultural influence. The shift in public perception happened gradually rather than through one single controversy. Over time, more personal conversations began entering public space. Marriage struggles, emotional conflicts, parenting philosophies, and relationship complications slowly became part of mainstream entertainment discourse. Interviews that once felt refreshing eventually became heavily scrutinized online, especially as social media platforms expanded the speed and intensity of public commentary. Much of the attention focused on Will and Jada's marriage. When Jada began discussing relationship struggles and emotional dissatisfaction more openly through Red Table Talk, reactions became increasingly divided. Some audiences praised the honesty because it challenged unrealistic expectations surrounding celebrity relationships. Others believed the discussions publicly embarrassed Will Smith and exposed private family dynamics that should have remained personal. As clips from interviews circulated across YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, and X, public analysis intensified. Conversations that began as personal reflections evolved into viral internet moments, dissected through memes, reaction videos, body language breakdowns, and psychological commentary. Audiences no longer focused only on the family's accomplishments. Increasingly, they focused on the emotional condition of the family itself. That transformation marked a major turning point in how the Smith family was perceived culturally. Earlier versions of their public image centered on aspiration, success, and emotional intelligence. Gradually, the image became associated with emotional exposure, vulnerability, and complexity. The more transparent the family became publicly, the more audiences attempted to interpret hidden tensions behind interviews, facial expressions, and interactions. By the early 2020s, the Smith family had become something far larger than a celebrity household. They became one of the internet's most analyzed families, with every public moment examined for deeper meaning. What once seemed polished and untouchable increasingly felt emotionally heavy and publicly fragile. The same openness that originally made the family admired eventually created an environment where private struggles became permanent public conversation. The public perception surrounding Will Smith and his family changed permanently after years of emotional discussions and internet speculation finally collided with one defining public moment at the 94th Academy Awards in 2022. What had previously existed mostly through online commentary, relationship debates, and viral interviews suddenly transformed into a global televised controversy witnessed in real time by millions of people around the world. During the ceremony, comedian Chris Rock made a joke referencing Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, comparing her appearance to G.I. Jane. Because Jada had previously spoken publicly about her struggles with alopecia, the joke immediately created tension inside the room. Moments later, Will Smith walked onto the stage and slapped Chris Rock before returning to his seat and shouting for him to keep Jada's name out of his mouth. The moment instantly became one of the most discussed incidents in modern entertainment history. For many viewers, the incident felt connected to years of visible emotional pressure surrounding the Smith family. Online conversations about Will had already shifted long before the Oscars. Audiences were increasingly discussing his emotional exhaustion, his marriage, his public vulnerability, and the growing sense that the family's private struggles had become too exposed to the world. Before the Oscars incident, much of the public discussion surrounding Will centered on sympathy and emotional analysis. Clips from interviews, particularly those involving discussions about marriage struggles and unconventional relationship dynamics, circulated constantly online. Social media users dissected Will's expressions, tone, and body language, often portraying him as emotionally drained or deeply uncomfortable. The Oscars moment transformed those internet narratives into a visible public breakdown involving one of Hollywood's most respected stars. Public reaction immediately became divided. Some defended Will Smith, arguing that he reacted emotionally in defense of his wife after years of public disrespect and scrutiny. Others interpreted the slap as evidence of unresolved emotional tension finally erupting publicly after years of speculation surrounding the marriage and the family's internal dynamics. Regardless of interpretation, nearly everyone agreed the incident permanently altered the public image of the Smith family. What made the situation even more significant was the contrast between the incident and Will Smith's decades-long public reputation. For most of his career, he represented control, optimism, discipline, and professionalism. The image of him physically confronting someone on live television contradicted everything audiences associated with his identity. Many people described the moment not simply as shocking, but emotionally disorienting because it shattered one of Hollywood's most carefully maintained images. The fallout extended far beyond the ceremony itself. Social media platforms became full-time spaces for analyzing the Smith family in even greater detail. Older interviews resurfaced constantly. Audiences revisited clips involving Will, Jada, Jaden Smith, and Willow Smith, searching for signs of emotional instability or hidden tension they believed they had previously overlooked. Every interaction became subject to interpretation. At the same time, Jaden and Willow continued developing unconventional public identities that generated mixed reactions online. Their philosophical interviews, experimental artistic styles, and unconventional approaches to celebrity life further divided audiences. Supporters admired their creativity and refusal to conform to traditional expectations. Critics argued that the family's extreme openness and celebrity lifestyle had disconnected them from ordinary reality. This divide became central to the public debate surrounding the family. One group continued seeing the Smiths as emotionally intelligent individuals, challenging outdated Hollywood expectations around identity, relationships, and self-expression. Another increasingly viewed the family as emotionally overexposed and psychologically burdened by fame itself. Much of the transformation occurred because the Smith family gave audience unusually deep access to their emotional lives for years. Initially, that openness strengthened their image because it felt authentic and refreshing compared to traditional celebrity branding. Over time, however, constant visibility produced the opposite effect. The more people saw, the more audiences began emotionally interpreting and psychologically analyzing the family. Private vulnerabilities gradually became public spectacle. Disagreements became internet debates. Emotional reactions became viral content. Every statement produced endless commentary. Living constantly under public observation changed the way audiences viewed the family entirely. What once looked like strength and honesty increasingly became associated with emotional pressure, exhaustion, and public fragility. By the years following the Oscars incident, the Smith family no longer represented a single narrative. Some audiences still admired their resilience, creativity, honesty, and willingness to challenge traditional celebrity expectations. Others believed the family had become emotionally overwhelmed by the consequences of extreme fame and public exposure. But nearly everyone recognized one undeniable reality. The public image surrounding Will Smith and his family had fundamentally changed from what it once was decades earlier. What ultimately makes the story surrounding Will Smith and his family so significant is that it reflects a larger transformation happening inside celebrity culture itself. Their journey is no longer viewed simply as the rise and struggles of a famous Hollywood family. It has become a public conversation about emotional exposure, identity, fame, and the psychological cost of living permanently under observation. For decades, Hollywood operated on distance and illusion. Celebrities maintained carefully protected lives while studios and publicists controlled what audiences were allowed to see. The Smith family represented a different model. Through interviews, social media, memoirs, podcasts, and shows like Red Table Talk, they invited audiences directly into deeply personal areas of their lives. Initially, that openness strengthened their connection with the public because it felt honest and emotionally intelligent. Over time, however, that same openness created a situation where audiences no longer consumed the family simply as entertainers. Instead, millions of people began emotionally analyzing them in real time. Interviews became psychological case studies. Family conversations became internet debates. Moments of vulnerability became viral content, repeatedly replayed and dissected across social media platforms. This shift fundamentally changed how the public viewed Jada Pinkett Smith in particular. To supporters, she became someone courageously discussing mental health, emotional healing, trauma, and unconventional relationship realities. To critics, she increasingly represented emotional overexposure and a style of radical transparency that they believed contributed to the public unraveling of the family's image. Will Smith experienced an equally dramatic transformation in public perception. Earlier in his career, he symbolized confidence, optimism, and complete emotional control. Following years of public relationship discussions and the Oscars incident, audiences increasingly viewed him through a lens of exhaustion, vulnerability, and emotional pressure. Many longtime fans described feeling as though they were witnessing someone trying to maintain composure while carrying years of unresolved emotional weight beneath the surface. That emotional shift also affected how people interpreted the family's children. Jaden Smith and Willow Smith were once celebrated primarily for their individuality and artistic freedom. In later years, online discussions increasingly focused on whether growing up inside such an intensely public and unconventional environment carried emotional consequences invisible to outsiders. At the same time, many supporters strongly rejected the internet's tendency to reduce the family to memes and viral controversies. They argued that much of the backlash reflected discomfort with emotional openness itself. From that perspective, the Smith family became targets, precisely because they discussed issues most celebrity families spend enormous effort hiding. Relationship dissatisfaction, emotional confusion, identity struggles, parenting disagreements, and mental health conversations became public topics rather than carefully buried secrets. The complexity of the family's public image is one reason discussions surrounding them remain so emotionally charged. Different audiences project completely different meanings onto the same family. Some see honesty and emotional courage. Others see dysfunction and overexposure. Some view Will and Jada as people attempting to redefine marriage and family structures outside traditional expectations. Others believe the family became overwhelmed by the emotional consequences of constant public transparency. Another major factor behind the continued fascination is the collapse of the perfect celebrity family illusion. Earlier generations of Hollywood often depended on presenting fame as glamorous, aspirational, and emotionally controlled. The Smith family gradually revealed something far more complicated: that wealth, fame, intelligence, and success do not remove emotional struggle or relationship pain. In many ways, audiences became uncomfortable because the family exposed vulnerabilities people were not accustomed to seeing from global superstars. As of 2026, the Smith family remains one of the most discussed families in entertainment, not because of a single scandal, but because they represent the collision between celebrity culture and emotional transparency in the social media era. Their story reflects what happens when fame removes nearly all boundaries between public image and private reality. Whether people view them sympathetically or critically, the family has already become culturally significant far beyond traditional celebrity news. The story of Will Smith and his family now functions as a larger reflection of modern fame itself, a world where audiences demand authenticity from celebrities while simultaneously punishing them for revealing too much of their humanity in public.
Facts.